Hey everyone, my name is Dayton Paradis, and you are watching the Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press. Today I am so happy to be joined by Dayton Paradis. How's it going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking. And I'm so excited to chat with you about your work in Descendants, Wicked Wonderland. But before we get into the new movie, what can you share about your background in the arts and what sparked that passion in you to pursue this field as a career?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a dancer as well. I think growing up, my family was a very sports-oriented household. My brother played hockey for a lot of his life. My dad was a hockey coach, so spent a lot of time at the rink. So I think that was kind of an expected journey for me, but I tried skating lessons and absolutely hated it. So I was put into all the kind of different sports. I really enjoyed soccer for a little bit. I did karate at one point, but nothing really stuck. And so my mom signed me up for an hour a week hip hop class, and I instantly fell in love with it. I don't think I realized at the time, but I think looking back at it, I really enjoyed the process of having to work hard outside of the studio in order to continue getting better. And I liked that there was a leveling up kind of system to it. But no, instantly fell in love with dance and took the reins and went with it. Now living in Vancouver, working as a professional dancer and actor and finding new passions and love for it as I go. But yeah.
That's incredible to kind of track your progression, starting from those skates that you never really warmed up to. So no future Connor McDavid,
No,
unfortunately.
definitely not.
But you mentioned, dance. You have such an extensive dance background. You've competed professionally for years now. How would you say physical movement has benefited your life, and ultimately, what has dance given you?
Yeah, I think dance has taught me a lot for sure. I'm so happy that I grew up as a dancer. I think the lessons and the mental challenges that it kind of forces on you to learn a little bit faster. I think a lot of things like time management and commitment and hard work. And also think the more on like the competitive side of the dance world, I think it also teaches you, yeah, how to lose and how to be humble and all these lessons that I think come a little bit later in life, whether that's through working your first job at a restaurant, like all these different life experiences that I think being a dancer taught me early on, and I was able to grasp onto those concepts early and obviously juggle and learn them and take my time for sure. But I do think it matures you really fast and really early. And so I definitely give that all to dance and think that that is a superpower that's hidden within the craft for sure. But I think on the other side, I mean, training consistently throughout the week, so many days, so many hours, it keeps me active, keeps me fit, and I think has definitely helped me meet a lot of awesome people as well. So I definitely think it's changed my life for the better, and I would suggest it to anybody because I definitely think you learn things maybe sometimes the hard way, but the good way for sure.
And it's nice to have like a regimen as well. Like you mentioned, it kind of keeps you accountable. That keeps you also meeting new people and collaborating, which we'll chat about soon. But who are a couple of people or places whose lessons and guidance really imprinted on you and your artistry today?
Yeah, I think a big general one is definitely my family for sure. I think my parents and I have an older brother as well. They're my biggest supporters, biggest cheerleaders, and I think going into yeah, something very artistic like dance, and even acting now, but I think it's a world that can feel very toxic at times. It's very easy to get down on yourself, feel insecure, all of those. But I think having a support system that was almost more in it than I was at some points. There was a phase where I was wanting to quit dance, and give up, but my dad kept me in there, and all praise to him for that. But I definitely think my family, for sure. But I think more specifically, I grew up watching so many dancers, of course, finding inspiration there. And I think what is really full circle actually is now I'm a member of a crew called Brotherhood. But I remember growing up watching their videos, which is really full circle. But yeah, the director Scott Forsyth, seeing the way he led this team and the performances that they were putting on was really awesome and inspiring. And then that developing into other teams in Canada and around the world for sure. But no, Brotherhood was definitely a leading factor for that. Absolutely.
Definitely a full circle moment for you. And you've been competing with them, doing so well. Before we talk about what's going on in the IDL, you have competed before on World of Dance and Canada's Got Talent. So, what is one thing that surprised you being on bigger reality shows like these ones?
Uh, Um, interesting. I think the biggest shock is that I found was I think just how much changes by the time it airs. Yeah, I think there's obviously a lot of physical time there, but I think days that could feel like we were there for 20 hours, and some days we were there for long days, shooting these reality shows, even time on stage, you're on there for a long time, and I think after all the editing goes through and the behind the scenes stuff happens, they can cut it down to like 3 minutes, 7 minutes. Like it all turns pretty short. And I think because you're so present in these moments, you hold on to those memories, of course. But I think it's really interesting to watch back and be like, oh wait, there's a lot that isn't being shown right now, which sometimes for the better, absolutely. But I think it's really interesting to see just yeah, how they can kind of shift and build their own take on something that maybe happened differently necessarily, not flipping the narrative, of course, but definitely shifting the format. Absolutely.
I mean, sometimes you could say creating the narrative, depending on,
Definitely.
what kind of juicy gossip or whatever they
Yeah.
want to go off of. But, it's interesting you say that because I think with a lot of reality shows, even like singing shows, you see people get packaged all the time. Sometimes, their clip doesn't even air, but like all the hard work that has gone into these people auditioning and performing. Something lately you've been on stage for is, of course, the Brotherhood Crew, which is dominating the IDL Pro Division standing so far. What has competing and creating with this group meant to you?
Ah, yeah, like I said before, I grew up competing. So it's super nice to go back to that. Obviously, after I graduated high school, I moved out here to do more of the industry stuff and fight for that life. But stepping back onto a stage consistently into the competition world has been amazing. I love competing. I have a very big competitive bone in my body. But no, it's been great. And like I said, Brotherhood is a dream team. Absolutely. I think it's something that looking back at it, felt so far out of reach and so like, yeah, such a dream that it almost like wasn't a dream because it felt so incapable. Obviously anything's possible, of course, but I do think it was something that felt so far out of reach. And so to be able to have a grasp onto that and be traveling the world with 19 other guys that I love and have such a great relationship with is, yeah, it's a dream. And I'm, yeah, super grateful to be able to create for the team as well. I've been able to put some choreography on the guys and have that perform across the world. And it's been great. It's been great. I'm so honored to be able to have an input and that everyone's trusting of that and willing to learn. Yeah, it's really an honor.
It's great to be part of a team that is so collaborative, open to new ideas and testing things
Absolutely.
out. You have competed so far in New York, Australia, which was another kind of big stop for you. And there's a portion that you did in Toxic that a lot of people have been doing dance covers of
Ah,
on TikTok, and I see it on Instagram. So how cool has it been to see that, something that you put out there? Copied, like inspiring so many other people.
it's It's something that I can't wrap my head around, honestly. I think the concept of like, I guess like a quote unquote fan base is something that's so, yeah, I can't wrap my head around the concept. But yeah, I think it's again, I'm so grateful to be able to share a piece of my mind and my passion with the boys and the choreo side of it. And for it to, yeah, be on social media trending and having people all over the world learning, yeah, it's incredible. And I can't help but smile when I'm just like scrolling, doing my own doom scrolling on TikTok and I see it come across. Yeah, I stay and watch for sure. It's super cool to just yeah, see it making its waves and I'm just so honored that people feel inspired watching the team, but me as well. So it's really, really, really awesome.
And getting to perform in these different countries, you know, on these big stages in front of such an enthusiastic dance community, how has that been for you? You know, people, there's so many, you know, videos and cameras around, and like people are taking videos of you like walking outside, you know, coming onto the stage. So, what has that been? Because, like, I will say the Vancouver dance community, I feel you can obviously speak more to it. I feel like it's strong, but, you know, going to these other places where you're competing with these other teams from other countries, like it's a whole different atmosphere and environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I we're traveling to a lot of places that I haven't traveled to before, like Australia, like that's across the world. Like which is really, really cool to be able to do it with, again, people that I love and value, but also doing what we love. It's crazy. I think every time we step off the plane in these new cities, you never really know how we're going to be perceived, of course. Like we're traveling from other places across the world, and these places that we're traveling to have their home team. Um, so you never really know how things are going to be perceived, but I feel really lucky to be a part of a team that is being very well perceived across the world. And I don't think that that goes without the hard work. And that's what I think is really awesome is that, sure, creating an impression, absolutely, but I think it's the hard work that we put in behind the scenes that is enticing those fans as well, which is really, really cool. And I think yeah, Vancouver's dancing is insane. The Vancouver event was something that I've never experienced before and will never forget the roars that we were hearing in the audience. But yeah, I think IDL and the league and the fans that it's bringing in and the traction that it's getting, it's just so much bigger than I thought. And I couldn't I really didn't expect it to be the way that it is. And that's such a great thing to obviously exceed expectation and have so much more appreciation for everyone behind the scenes as well. Now that we're pretty deep in the season, we're halfway through technically. I really respect everyone for all the work that they're putting in, all the other teams as well. It's not an easy task to do what this league is doing, so I give them my applause for sure.
All of the work behind the scenes, and I like that you gave flowers to the other dance teams as well. You know, it wouldn't be what it is in a competition without so many great competitors. Another talent of yours is teaching, which you do at Studio North as a choreography instructor. How special has it been to teach and mentor and share your passion in an intentional way?
Yeah, I love teaching. I love sharing, mentoring, all of it. I think it's something that I think growing up as a competitive dancer and at a studio, it's a very common theme to kind of be like, oh yeah, I want to be a dance teacher when I'm older. And I definitely followed that habit, of course. But I think teaching, yeah, weekly at Studio North has been such a blessing. It's another one of those things that was a dream of mine before moving to the city. And so to be able to check that off and really build a community, I think is really special. I think I'm just not sure how long. I feel like it's almost 2 years now that I've had a consistent slot, which again, so grateful. But no, I lead all of my classes with the intention of enjoyment first. And I think that's something that I always enjoyed being reminded growing up. And sometimes when that is missed, dance can turn into this weary space. So yeah, just I really enjoy creating a space for everyone to, no matter where they are in their dance journey or what their necessarily specific individual goals are, that we're all coming to the same place because we want to be there and that we enjoy it. At the end of the day, dance is a sacrifice. You give up a lot to be able to take these classes and commit to something that isn't easy, mentally or physically. And so I definitely give kudos to all my students, and I'm so grateful to train with people consistently who take my class week after week, but also to bring in new faces and have people trust the process that I provide and what I have to share. So no, really, really, really grateful to be trusted and yeah, to be able to share space with so many people.
That's such a lovely way to lead. Before we get into Descendants, Wicked Wonderland, I have to ask, is your party trick still floor swimming?
Oh man, you found that deep cut. Honestly, I haven't done it in a long time, but I feel like I could still whip it out.
Yeah, I think it's a very old video
Uh-huh.
now from a former dance team you were part of. But I have to say, like, it's a cool stunt to have in your arsenal. I mean, not everyone can do it. I
Exactly.
think it was like between lockers, so you kind of
Yeah,
need that like narrow-ish
little
hallway in
hallway.
order to do it. Yeah. Maybe next time you're teaching, you can
I'll
try
try
to
and find
break
that
it
somewhere.
out. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see a stunt like that in the movie, but we will talk about all the other fun antics you got up to. We are discussing spoilers for all those watching, so please make sure you have finished the movie before continuing our interview with Dayton. What can you share about your audition process?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think I had a little bit of a different audition process as actually auditioned as a dancer first. And so I went to the open call dance audition, enjoyed it. The choreography team was amazing. They led the space very well. It was hard. It was really hard. But no, I think, yeah, kind of like going backtracking a little bit, dancing for TV and film in these big open call auditions were kind of my like I made it moment, getting to be a part of those and dancing for TV and film was kind of that peak, I guess, for me originally. And so being able to audition and be in the room as in itself was such a dream come true. Yeah, it was a great, great time. But so after the dance audition, ended up getting a call back. And the morning of the callback, I got a self-tape request for the Smee twins, for one of the Smees. And wasn't really sure technically. I remember sending it back being like, am I allowed to do this since I've already kind of auditioned and put my face in the dance register? But they were like, yeah, absolutely. Like, let's go for it. Team was super supportive, and acting was something that I was still a little bit on the fence about. It's definitely something that was intriguing me, but definitely wasn't thinking that I was gonna be ready to book a role in this big Disney movie. And so I went for it. And funny story, actually, I wasn't, because it was right before the callback, I wasn't able to find a reader. And so it was one of those ones where I recorded the opposite lines on my voice memo and had that playing. So I had to try and time that out. So it was a process, but we did it. And nonetheless, was happy with the tape that I sent in and went back to the dance callback right after. And yeah, ended up getting a callback, which ended up being also the chemistry read for the Smee twin. And that's where I met a couple others that were auditioning. And yeah, we went in. There was one scene, I think there was two scenes with some lines and a little bit of dialogue. One scene of us falling down the rabbit hole, which was really awesome. And then the next time we went in, the director Kimmy, who's so amazing, and the rest of the Disney team, they had us go through this like Wonderland simulator almost. So we were in this room with like pool noodles and pinwheels, and she was like, "Do what you want." And so we're like hitting each other, we're like blowing these pinwheels. It was a great time. And I just remember like fully laughing at myself for some of these stunts that I was pulling. But I think channeling the Smees, they're just down for whatever. And so really channeling that. And it was, yeah, it was truly the best time. I had a great time.
I love that they just threw you in this room and are like, just go for it, just to see how
Do
you
what you
kind of
want.
react. Because as we see in the movie, that's very much like the Smee twins, like very childlike, in awe and wonder of everything. So, you were kind of still in that dance roster. So when became the time when, was it when you booked the role of your character that you were like, okay, I can no longer, be in these big group numbers as just a dancer?
Yeah, exactly. I think getting to the chemistry read and that callback point kind of made me like, okay, wait, there's a world where this could happen, maybe. So of course, yeah, continuing to put my best foot forward. But no, when I got the offer for this Me Twin, yeah, I said bye to dancing and hello to acting. But luckily, I was really grateful that the Smees obviously act, sing, and dance in the movie as well. So it was really nice to be able to still fulfill that dream and that desire, and do the amazing choreo that everyone and all these dancers were getting to perform. I was really, really happy to be able to be a part of those musical numbers too.
I mean, I guess it was kind of the same thing, just with a character name and a bit more
Exactly.
screen time
Yeah.
attached, which is always nice. So you and Ryan, of course, already close friends. You
Yeah.
share the same agent. How much communication did the two of you have during your audition process when you knew that you were both up for a Smee twin?
Yeah. I can't remember if I knew that Ryan did the initial audition. Um, yeah, I know that there was a lot of people in our circle that were kind of talking about, oh, I got this self-tape, blah, blah, blah. But I don't feel like Ryan and I actually talked about the first audition, but I could be so wrong. But I do know that I got to the callback, and I was the first one there. And so everyone just started kind of piling in. There wasn't too many of us, but I knew that when Ryan showed up, I was like, okay, this is going to be good. Ryan and I were, yeah, of course, great friends before, but I do think working together on Descendants really locked in our friendship, and kind of took that to the next level. Of course, we're working together every day, being brothers on set. So, but no, definitely at that callback, we were going in chemistry reading with a bunch of different other people. And after they had seen you with who they wanted, they were sending us home. And I just remember going in with someone and coming out, and they were like, just stay, we're going to have you come in with Ryan. And I was like, awesome, this is going to be great. And so I came out of the room, and Ryan and I were the last two there. And we were just strategizing. We were like, what can we do here? That we have great chemistry already. How can we let this read? Yeah, really trying to, I guess, strategize, I guess, at the end of the day, what we could pull that maybe we hadn't done in the room yet, to bring still an element of surprise to the role. But I don't know, the Smees, they're very like Ryan and I. And so I think it felt really easy to go in there with him. Yeah.
I'm glad that they loved the audition and the chemistry
Yeah.
read that you two had together. And we'll talk a bit about that familiarity and how it transfers. But what was your knowledge of the Descendants franchise before you auditioned, before you were cast? And what can you say about its legacy?
Yeah, big fan. I'm a big fan. I grew up Disney kid, of course. Think before I even started dancing, I think the musical numbers of just Disney and how they brought the magic there really enticed me. And I think Descendants, I remember Descendants doing a really great job at that. The dance numbers and the songs and the music, they're so iconic, and they have always been. And I think it's something that's so timeless. And so yeah, getting to dip my toes in that world and be a part is it's mind blowing to me. It's truly a dream come true. But yeah, no, Descendants. I remember Descendants 2. I remember Descendants 2 coming out, being so excited for this second movie of this franchise that I really enjoyed the first one. Um, and yeah, just seeing where it's evolved and where it's came now is really cool, and such a special legacy to be a part of. I think everyone that's been a part of it in the past, and present is truly so talented. Like they have all gone on to do amazing things, before and post Descendants. And so I think, yeah, just being so inspired, but also just so in awe of the legacy that it has for sure. So it's crazy to be a part for sure.
Did you have a favorite character in the movies?
Uh, I feel like, okay, kind of deep cut. In the first movie, Maleficent, she has my vote. I just love if you wanna be evil like me, don't you wanna? So good. Yeah, favorite song for sure.
Kristen Chenoweth,
Yes.
I
Oh my
believe,
God.
legend, absolutely.
Absolute legend.
And it was so nice, I think such a big part of those three movies initially is like that core group of characters. So it's so nice though to see like this new kind of chapter and era and introduce all these amazing new characters that come from such a long line of movies in the Disney universe. Can you expand on how you shaped your Squeaky Smee, including his personality and physical characteristics that we see in the movie?
Yeah. I had a great time trying to build this character for sure in the audition process, but also after and throughout the filming process. Absolutely. I remember there's a day where Ryan and I were sitting in the green room and we were like, let's break down our relationships with everyone, our relationship with each other, because I do think that that definitely plays a part of how we built our character as obviously, yeah, we're interacting with these people and these characters the whole time. But no, I think we definitely wanted to, of course, we're twins, so we're going to have these similarities, but definitely find our differences. So I kind of found Squeaky to be more of the thinker of the two, definitely still a doer, absolutely, but thinking a little bit first. And I think as quote unquote Squeaky, being smaller was super fun to play around with Ryan. But no, also kind of paying homage to the Smee twins from the third movie, um, kind of pulling the timid and the shyness that they had there. Of course, bringing that back as we are the same character, absolutely. But it's been so many years, so we've matured as well. So I think growing up, you will mature out of that shyness naturally a little bit too. But again, that's the roots. So it has to still live. And I think that was also a really key driving factor and characteristic that we led with was that shy timidness, but also just so in awe of everything and so easily distracted. I think also something that we talked about with Kimmy Gatewood, the director, was it kind of felt like we were almost the audience's eyes into Wonderland. Obviously, yeah, a lot of times in the movie there's some serious business going down and we're causing some shenanigans and just enjoying the land that we're in. And I think that's what an average kid nowadays would also do. Also, it's like Wonderland is crazy. There's so much magic and colors and life going on. And so I think um, yeah, just being easily distracted and enjoying all of it was definitely, I think, lead factor for sure.
So well said. And I like that you referenced the younger versions that we see in Descendants 3, because for some of these characters, we're kind of introduced to either siblings or their parents in some of the other movies or younger versions. So it's kind of nice to see you taking that into consideration for this more teenage version of your character. How did yours and Ryan's personal relationship really influence the dynamics we see between them? So, can you elaborate on those contrasts or similarities you wanted to play into together?
Yeah, no, like I said before, Ryan and I, we felt very at home in this meeting. There was a lot of times that we would get upset and we were like, wow, this is such a blessing. It sometimes it doesn't even feel like we're acting. Like this is truly us. And so no, definitely playing into that brother aspect. Like I said, Ryan and I were great friends before the project. And oftentimes we would call each other brothers. It was just like a kind of joke that we threw around and our friends started to throw around as well. And so when that kind of came into flourishing, it was kind of awesome. But no, definitely playing into we played into the size difference a lot, playing into okay, maybe it's funnier if I carry Ryan instead of the classic. But no, definitely, yeah, the fun energy. I think as dancers too, we definitely know I guess kind of how to go on the fly a little bit. So improving in scenes, making big, bold choices to kind of really show those characters where maybe necessarily it wasn't put in the script. But how can we continue the story for ourselves in the background as well? And yeah, just really going off of the bond that Ryan and I naturally had as great friends. I think, yeah, Ryan feels like a brother to me. So I think letting that really show and just be real and genuine for sure.
Did you ever think that the two of you looked alike, that you could be playing brothers?
Yeah, I never used to see it. Everyone would kind of throw it around sometimes. Our friends would say it. I never really saw it, but I will say I definitely see it now. And there's sometimes there's a picture where I'm like, wait, that could be me. That really could be me. But no, definitely see it now for sure.
It's like altered your mindset.
Yeah.
Now it's
I
kind of
can't unsee
melded
it
together and
anymore.
you're like, yeah, you can't unsee it. But
Yeah.
I love that we kind of see these little bits, even the ones that didn't fully make it into the movie. There's this twin cartwheel trick that you were doing during the end credits, which I'm
Yeah.
sure you remember
Yeah.
filming. And then there's another, I think, in a scene when you're doing like the shimmy shake together. So you can see you're just
Yeah.
having so much fun as these twins. They are part of Hazel Hook's VK crew. In your eyes, what are the power dynamics within the group, and how did the Smees become a part of it?
Yeah. I mean, I think going back, Smee is Captain Hook's assistant. Um, and so I think Ryan and I and the Smee twins kind of living as those sidekicks to Hazel throughout the movie. And I guess, yeah, from the beginning of the film to the end, we kind of are maintaining that like left and right hand man energy for sure. So definitely follow her around, do what she says first and foremost. But I think the VKs have a very interesting dynamic. There's a lot of I think, yeah, unity within all of us, but I also think like Hazel and Max have a great relationship that I think we dive into and get to see a little bit as well. I also think like we have some moments with Felix that are kind of sprinkled in there. And so I think everyone has those individual connections and relationships with these characters. But it's really cool to see everyone still unite and be one big crew. But even, yeah, like that day when Ryan and I were sitting in the green room, kind of breaking down our character and explaining, yeah, how we're connected to each of these characters, maybe necessarily what we think um, of everybody and where the relationship stemmed from, and kind of building that narrative for ourselves. So we had something to play off of. It's not necessarily expressed or in the script anywhere, but yeah, creating a narrative for ourselves was really fun.
That's great because it's one of those things where there's just unfortunately not enough screen time to go around, so it's not canon, but you want to think about how all of these characters are related. And I sometimes wondered, are they happy being Hazel's flunkies, as it's said in the movie? But what's really funny is I felt like she was their babysitter, how it was described. She says she has to feed them every 2 hours. Tell me about that line of dialogue, and did that kind of influence what you and Ryan were thinking about when you considered their relationship with Hazel?
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. That line is so awesome. Um, yeah, definitely. We definitely have always stayed at her hip. I think attached to her hip, following behind her, almost like her shadow. Flunkies, exactly, great word. And so I think throughout the movie, there's little moments where, yeah, obviously she gets a little upset when we mess up or a little shrug in the shoulder. But I think that is almost what makes the relationship even more fun to play with is that um, I think there's times where it feels like, yeah, we're causing an issue. So Hazel maybe sees it as a burden to keep lugging us around. But I think what we kind of discussed with Kiara as well is that there's like a deeper connection that kind of rides behind it. It's that brotherly, sisterly bond, absolutely. And so I think as much as Ryan and I feel like brothers in the film, or are brothers in the film. Hazel almost feels like an older sister as well, which was a really cool dynamic to play with, as obviously she has her own things going on in the story as well. But yeah, maintaining shadow status of Hazel, kind of following her every move, but also building a little bit of courage sometimes to step outside of the box as well.
For sure. It's almost like, she might feel a responsibility there
Yeah.
to also take care of them, which I love. We are introduced to your character during this grand opening number for Perfect Princess. So, as your first appearance, take me through the choreography and filming and wanting to make that strong first impression.
Yeah, no, Perfect Princess is great. It looks so great. It turned out so awesome. But no, yeah, first impression is important. And so I think yeah, just doing our best to own the lines in the song, the movement, the choreo is so great. And I think as as a dancer, I felt a sense of comfortability, like as dancing for the camera. Um, and so relying on, yeah, trusting my abilities as a dancer and really honing in and focusing on the performance side, and creating this character and creating the essence that we bring as VKs that are, yeah, coming back and finding our spot again in the franchise. Definitely like a big moment for sure. But I think just doing all we can to, yeah, really get the concept of us being VKs, Hazel's assistants, sidekicks, all that, but also owning our own character as well. Was really, really fun to do in that opening number.
There was a lot of attitude given during their lines, which was really cool to see. It's always, a big moment when, like you mentioned, you're kind of reintroducing or introducing the VKs in this movie for the first time. Squeaky is part of the group that goes to Wonderland to stop Maddox Hatter. What do you think his thoughts were about the situation?
Yeah. I mean, to me, Squeaky's down for whatever. Um, Definitely, again, Hazel's down, so Squeaky's down, absolutely. But I do think Wonderland and this feeling of like a new journey of doing something that maybe we haven't done yet, going to a world that maybe we haven't touched, feels super exciting, and is a journey that he's definitely down for, absolutely. And I think we see that throughout the film as well as um, Squeaky gets to explore Wonderland. He's in awe and he loves every second of it. So I do think he's in for the ride for sure. I think there's moments where things get a little rocky or things feel a little scary. Absolutely. Yeah, that croquet garden. But I do think he enjoys it nonetheless because I think, yeah, again, he's down for whatever. And I think um, really excited to do it with his brother too, I think is something that played a part.
You mentioned improv, so obviously some comedic relief across the movie for these twins. How was it to play into this element? And are there any specific moments you can tell us about that maybe were a bit more improv on yours and Ryan's end?
Yeah, no, it was super fun. I think the way that they built the sets, and where they had placed us and just yeah, again, the relationships we've created with each other, but also the other characters just left so much room for play. And I think that's another thing that Kimmy did a great job with, is it was all just fun. We were genuinely like kids in Wonderland, and it felt just like that. I think there's a moment in there's a big squishy mushroom pit that we see and spend some time in. And there was a day where I swear Ryan and I were just like jumping in, getting out, jumping in, getting out over and over for like hours. It was so much fun. Hard work, of course, but it was so much fun. Or yeah, even sitting in the mushroom pit. We have a little bit of like fun improv moments with Pink that are happening as well. Throwing these mushrooms at each other and just being dumb and stupid, but of course, a good time, absolutely. But I do remember that jump into the mushroom pit. There was a couple times that we were like trying to belly flop a little bit. And there was one I remember that I will never I will never forget. It kind of shifted how I went continuing the improv scene where I hit my head on like it was soft, so it was okay. But my hat came off and my wig fully pulled back. And so I'm like face down in this mushroom pit with my bald cap underneath this wig. So definitely readjusted the improv scene a little bit there, but it was a great time.
Just a bit of like light stunt work there and
Like
like
just a
shifting
little.
perspective, learning while you go. There was the rabbit hole scene that you mentioned
Mm,
earlier that
yeah.
you might have had an audition for, but tell me about filming that from what we see in the final cut, like you and Ryan tangled together, screaming for your lives. How exactly was that filmed?
It was so much fun. Yeah, we were harnessed up, we were flying in the sky. It was really cool. I've never experienced anything like that before. Yeah, let alone just like being on a green screen was super, super awesome. But no, it was so fun. We were harnessed like so high in the air, like honestly kind of scary. And we're like fighting each other, tangled up. They have us like upright, and then we did a couple shots where we were like horizontal. Um, yeah, it was just so much fun. Like truly, it felt like such play and such fun. And so the fact that it was considered work was such a blessing.
Including getting pushed off the hammock as well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you did film a couple of locations, Ordon Prep, which is, of course, Hatley Castle in Victoria, well known to this franchise, but primarily in Wonderland. So take me behind the scenes of these sets, including how Wonderland was created and stepping into that world.
Yeah, no, it was super cool to go to Oradon, the iconic castle, where it all started. Super full circle to step foot in there. Yeah, it's something that we watched growing up, absolutely. But no, I think the production team did such a great job. Everything was so practical and physical. There was a lot of it, or sorry, there wasn't a lot of it that was CGI or fake, that is being added post production, but no, it genuinely felt like we were in Wonderland. I remember we went to a park that they had built and kind of constructed into Wonderland, and we were walking down the path, and there's all these mushrooms and like these lights and all these colors, and I'm like, I've walked down this path before, and it did not look like this. So it's super cool to like see them translate a regular forest into such beauty, and also like the indoor sets as well. Like, yeah, the team was just so great and all the details. I honestly like I felt like I was at Disneyland. Like that's what it felt like walking through these sets. So it was so so cool to be able to do these passions and act and dance and all of this on these incredible sets and stages. The chessboard was one that was like, this is insane. Like a life-size chessboard, along with the chess pieces as well, creating the illusion that yeah, we're mini. Was super cool. Everything's huge, of course, but no, definitely the coolest stage I've ever performed on in terms of structure for sure.
I was disappointed because I'm in the area of Central Park, which is where the Wonderland kind of set was built. And I had heard that they were filming, but I got there too late. But I had seen pictures of like, all these kind of colorful props, and it just looks so different, like you said, from what you remember going through the trails before. But it must have been so cool to be a part of that and see it all come to life. Did you hear about them? Was a fun, more intimate number between this core group of characters. What memories do you have from rehearsing and filming that one?
Yeah, no, that one was really fun. A lot of dancing and a lot of stuff happening in that one, which was really fun to play with the chaos of it all a little bit. There was a lot of times where when we would shoot it, we were shooting the number in big chunks. Not, I don't know if we did it all the way through, but pretty much. And when we were doing it in rehearsal, we were shooting it, the previses in little snippets. And so when it came to camera day, it just felt so, so beautifully chaotic. And I think it was a true testament to the smartness of everybody, and the professionalism too, of being able to work on your feet, running around the camera to get to the other side, all that fun stuff. But no, that number was super fun to create. We had a great group of skeleton dancers as well, in rehearsals that helped us out and kind of built the basis of it. And so when we stepped in, it felt very lived in already, which was really nice, made it feel more comfortable. Yeah, no, the number was super fun. Obviously, it's like a head-to-head battle, BKs versus HKs. So super fun to have a little bit of that like rivalry, be able to show in one of the numbers as well.
Definitely, because I feel like you're also used to, obviously, there's something to be said about these big numbers with, all of the dancers and chorus performers. But with something like that, there's like less to hide behind. You're more involved in like this back and forth battle, as you mentioned. Now, when the group is at White Rabbit's cottage, Squeaky is by himself. Do you think he noticed that his twin was missing, and was there any concern for his well-being in that moment?
Yeah, yeah, he did go missing for sure. Um, I think he noticed for sure. He definitely did. I think there's a moment after he disappears that yeah, it's a loss for sure. But I think again, Squeaky's so taken aback by how beautiful this world that he was living in is that he's again so easily distracted. So I don't think he moves on from it too fast, but I definitely don't think he dwells on it for too long. But I do know that the moment they get to reunite, it felt really special for sure.
I feel like he was a bit preoccupied trying to eat a pillow in the cottage.
Yeah.
Well, so how do you do that kind of with a serious mindset? Because
Yeah.
you're mid like bite and then Kiara goes, that's not cake, right? Here
Yeah.
you are trying to like be serious and stay composed.
No, yeah. Definitely a fun moment. That was another moment that kind of came a little bit from improv. Um, I remember I was trying to figure out different things I can do. And the director was like, "What if you just try and eat something?" And I was like, "Down." And so I remember, yeah, grabbing the pillow. There was one take where I was like biting the couch. So definitely a fun moment, but I do think it was really hard to take myself serious sometimes. There was a lot of times where they'd yelled cut, and I'd be like, damn, what did I just do? Can't believe I just did that. But it was always awesome and it of course paid out, and worked its way out in the end. But yeah, no, definitely fun.
There's a mostly happy ending at the movie's end. How do you think Squeaky felt about their mission being completed and working with the HKs? Like, did his perception of them change, if at all?
Yeah, no, I think of course the mission, finding and saving the moms, of course, super happy to be there. I think there's a moment where not even a moment, Squeaky's very scared of Maddox, and I think we see that for sure. And I think to be able to, yeah, win with his team and these people that they've gone through all these challenges with, is really special. And I think if nothing even before, that is something that brought them together even more. Um, I think throughout the film, I built a relationship actually with Pink's character, where yeah, we kind of start as a little bit of rivals, and then we dance together at the end. We have a full fun time, and I think that was definitely a relationship that was fun to play with, as well as to see the overall storyline kind of shift that relationship too. But no, definitely nice to see the squads connect, and unite as one for sure.
I like that you mentioned with Pink because these are the little moments that, they don't get a lot of dialogue, but we kind of see it happen in the background. Like when they're in the cottage, he is kind of playing, like what a hide and seek patty cake kind of game with Pink. So you have these little kind of connections that are being built. True to Your Heart was another big number. So again, coming from that dance and choreo background, what can you say about the choreographers on Wicked Wonderland and collaborating on large scale numbers like this one to end the movie?
Oh yeah, the choreo team was amazing. Yeah, truly like some of the best to bring in, but also I think just yeah, amazing people too. They really cared for us and our well-being throughout the entire process. But no, Emilio, his work is amazing. He did Wicked previously as well. So all of their resumes are insane. And so to be able to learn from them, but also, yeah, build relationship and go through this process with them as well was really, really cool. And the dancer side of me was freaking out. I'm geeking over these people, big fans as a dancer and in the same world, inspired nonetheless by them as dancers. So to be able to learn from them as well, was really, really special.
True to Your Heart had a lot of props as well because you're at the tea party at the palace. So what was it like working with all of the different objects, the tables in the way, things like that?
Yeah. No, it was a work in progress for sure. There's yeah, a lot of plate choreo, a lot of stuff with the teacups. I remember when we were learning them, the teacups that we were using were glass or ceramic. And during all the cheers and when we put it down, it was just like, oh goodness, something is gonna break. Who's gonna break this first for sure? But so definitely an interesting process. Took some time to get, but everyone tackles it amazingly. Yeah, the cast is so talented and so down for any challenge. So I'm not surprised at all that it turned out how it did and how amazing it was. But definitely fun to add an extra element of challenge for sure.
So did you end up still being able to use the ceramics or did you have to move to like non-breakable
We did
plastics?
move to some plastic for sure. Yeah, some fake cake as well. But yeah.
That's a shame about the fake
No,
cake, but
no.
I'm sure
Some of it
you
was real. Some of it was
okay,
real.
you still got a bit of that real real food there.
We did.
What are your hopes for Squeaky and his future in the franchise? Like what would you like to see from him in a sequel or any other characters?
Yeah, no, I think it feels very open-ended for Squeaky and the Smees. I think we get to know them and see them quite a bit in this movie, but I think, of course, it would be amazing to dive a little bit deeper, learn a little bit more of what goes on in their minds, and also maybe what's gotten them to this point, whether that's going through and kind of learning more about their relationships with everyone or it's their relationship with each other. I do think there's as fun and crazy and as shy as they are, I do think there's, of course, some depth to the character. Absolutely. Um, and so I think it would be really fun to play there. I think to continue establishing a relationship and the friendship with Hazel, but also I think Pink and all the characters for that matter, we have moments with. And to be able to dive a little bit more and dissect those, I think would be really cool. Um, but no, yeah, just again, so grateful to be a part of such a special legacy and such a great franchise. So would be grateful for whatever, of course, but keeping my fingers crossed, absolutely.
As Chessie says at the end, it's time to start some new mischief. So
Yeah.
I am hopefully looking forward to seeing these characters back again in a new installment. Let's talk costumes and hair and makeup. Your
Yeah.
look obviously paid homage to Mr. Smee in Peter Pan. Tell me about creating his look, those wardrobe fittings, and wearing it with confidence.
Uh, yeah, no, it was awesome. The costume department was insane. They're so good at what they do. I think for Ryan and I, we really loved the vibrance of our outfit. We're in bright teal jumpsuits for the entire movie until the last number, so um, we were comfy for sure. We were in a little onesie. How bad could it be? But super fun process. The hair and makeup team, of course, was great as well. They did a great job at making sure we were still comfortable. Of course, wearing a wig cap and a wig with a bunch of pins all day, every day for months on end isn't easy. Absolutely not. So um, everyone was really, really great at making sure that we looked good, but also felt good.
How about that bleached kind of hair with the wig? Like, would you ever sport that in real life? What was it like kind of putting on that hairstyle for the first time and seeing yourself in the mirror?
Yeah, no, that hair, it was a journey. It started different than it ended for sure. Obviously, yeah, in the third movie, they have it's pretty long. It's pretty long, bleached hair. And so we tried a couple different lengths, tried a couple different color options too, a little bit. But of course, as everyone does, they aged, so things would change a little bit. They got a little bit of a haircut. But no, it was definitely crazy to see myself in that wig for the first time. That was the first time I've ever actually worn like a serious bald cap with a wig that's not just like for a fun Halloween costume or something. So definitely a learning process of how to get through a day with all those pins. Absolutely. But and a little inside scoop, but there was at one time that Ryan and I were actually just going to dye our regular hair. That was a conversation at one point. We were like, we'll do it. Like bleach blonde, we'll do it. But happy that we saved this and went for the wig in the end.
You were this close to having a semi-permanent
I know, so
haircut
close.
for a while, but it's so cool to see all the details because even in, those one piece outfits that you were wearing, like they had the anchor print on them, for example, and then of course you had the blue and white striped shirt underneath. So many details and attention to details from this team. Can you share a favorite memory or two from filming and working with this cast?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. Um, I think the first one that comes to mind, I think filming at Ordon at the castle. And yeah, just being in Victoria was really, really special. Obviously, we were in like this like training boot camp, it felt like for the first little bit. It was like 5 weeks maybe, where we were just learning everything, going through the script rehearsals, all of that. And Perfect Princess and the stuff at Oregon was actually the first thing we filmed. And so getting to travel with everyone, stay in the same hotel, like it felt like a fun little vacation. Obviously, we're working, of course, but such a great way to kick it off. And I think everything in Victoria was truly such a great time. And I think that's also where the bonds really clicked with everyone. Of course, we're seeing each other so often. And so those bonds are naturally going to happen. But I do think in Victoria, that's when it really, really clicked for everyone. I think something that I will never forget was during, I think it's the scene before Did You Hear About? It's when we're entering the Lemuria tree. There's a little moment where Pink is pulling out her teapot and her teacups and she's pouring herself some tea. Um, and of course, we like rehearse these scenes. And so in one of the rehearsals, again, we're improvising, of course. So there's dialogue happening in front of us, and I'm like, let me go see what Pink's doing. I'll like improv over here with her. And so I go over to her and I see her little teapot, and I like pretend to like pick it up and like dump it all over into my mouth. And of course it's empty. So I'm like, this is great. This is so funny. I have Liamani like breaking character laughing. I'm like, this is great. This is awesome. And so we do a couple more rehearsals. I like keep making the choice. I'm like locking it in. Then we take a second, we get like some final touches, and we start shooting. And I walk over and I grab the teapot. And again, I'm like so in it. So I'm not thinking of anything. And I pour it over my face and it's full of water. I dump it all over my face. And I like am soaked now. So makeup's ruined, hair is drenched, costume's wet. And I just remember standing there and I'm like, there's a full scene happening behind me. So I'm fully visible. So I just turned my back to the camera and just like stood there because I was like, my jaw was on the floor. Liamani was dying. It was crazy, but I'll just never forget. I like her not thinking to tell me that they added water into this cup. And I'm like, obviously, we both knew that this was going to happen. We had rehearsed it, but at some point, I obviously didn't see them put water into this teapot. Liamani didn't clue in that either there was water or that I should probably be aware. It was so funny, so funny.
Luckily, it was just like cold or
No,
lukewarm
could have been
water.
bad, right?
Imagine that, a medic on set, but I'm like that you had the awareness to kind of turn your back. So you're like, I don't want to ruin this
No, I
scene
can't
and cause
ruin it.
them to like
Exactly.
have to touch up my makeup and hair and everything. But that's such a like funny moment to look back on. And obviously you shared a moment with Leomani there. How excited and proud are you of yourself and this Descendants journey?
Yeah, it's crazy. Again, just so grateful. But definitely, yeah, I'm so proud. I think it's something that little Dayton would be really, really happy for me for. And I think, yeah, it's just something that you dream about for so long. And so I think stepping into it and experiencing it now that the world almost has it in its hands, is so crazy. And I think I'm just so pumped for the world to fall in love with this cast like I did and this story like I did and experience the Wonderland magic that we created. And yeah, I think I'm just so proud and honored to be a part of something so special and carry on such a beautiful legacy. Yeah.
Well, you should definitely be proud of yourself and what you all created together. What upcoming projects can you share?
Yeah. A couple things that I think I can talk about. I was lucky enough to dance in the new upcoming Camp Rock movie. So dancing in a couple numbers there, which was really, really fun. Truly felt like summer camp. And again, got to work with Leah Money as well, which was great to spend the summer working with her. But no, it was truly a blast. I also have a little cameo in the upcoming Victorious reboot with Nickelodeon, Hollywood Arts, which was really fun to do. And yeah, some other stuff. Fingers crossed, I'm sure, but I think that's kind of it for this next upcoming year.
And of course, you'll still be dancing with
Yeah.
Brotherhood. Next up is in
Seoul, Korea, which is going to be really fun. Yeah, working hard on those sets now to prep. No, it's going to be a fun one for sure.
Well, can't wait for what's to come. I'm gonna recite a quote that you said before, which was, "My goal in life is to always spread love and energy to those who need it most, whether it's making someone smile or laugh. I strive to always be the positive light in the room." And I think you emulated that in Squeaky, and I'm sure in your future projects. It's been such a pleasure getting to speak with you. I have one more question, our signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Hmm. This is a hard question. Um, okay, naturally I would say vanilla, but I'm not gonna do that. Not gonna do that. I think I would choose maybe like a Rocky Road vibe. Um, yeah, something that like it's different every bite. You never know what you're gonna get. I feel like that's me at the core.
Perfect way to end things off. Thank you so much, Dayton, for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me. This was great. Thank you so much.
Hopefully, we can catch up in the future, but until then, for all those watching, make sure to catch Dayton as Squeaky Smee in Descendants, Wicked Wonderland, out July 16th on Disney Channel and July 17th on Disney Plus. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.